Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Steve from the Louisiana Tech Women's Program. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Excited to talk to you. It's you know, January, the season's wrapped up, but it is the height of showcase season. You just had Disney wrapping up, ECNL a couple weeks ago. Um, as a D1 program on the women's side, where do you stand right now in terms of your recruiting calendar? Is 25 locked and loaded and you're just only looking at 26s, or kind of what does that calendar and timeline look like for you guys?
So we're actually in a pretty good place that we're now almost exclusively starting to look for 27s. And so we just came back from Montreal last night, went to a big showcase there. Obviously, we're going to go to ECNL Dallas in a couple of weeks, was just down the road for us. We have a recruit on campus actually right now. That would be potentially a late addition for 2025. But overall, with the roster size right now, we feel we're very, very good. We don't need to make additions. We'd like to make additions if it's the right person, the right fit. So we're not going to force the issue. Then for 26, we're only graduating one player right now. Again, at the end of the day, you never know if a player then decides to move on after the year. But right now, we have two commitments for 2026 and hopefully going to get one out of this Montreal trip here in the next week or two. And then we are at 27 players potentially then for the year 2026, which again puts us right at that new 28 benchmark.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in terms, you mentioned Montreal and ECNL, Dallas. Kind of, what are your, must-hit spots? Where do you like to go to see players? What does that look like for you?
So we really try to use our staff and send them over different places. I handle most of the international recruiting. Stephanie came to Montreal as well, but Chris went to the GA event, ECNL. So we try to hit a little bit of everything. Being so close to the Dallas area helps us to watch a lot of regular season ECNL games as well and catch a few of those. But we also don't just blanket everything and hope to hit. We're a little bit more targeted. Maybe that has to do with our where we are with recruiting, but also that we want to use our budget wisely and make sure that we hit it. So ECNL, all three of us are going to go. We actually went to the JUCO National Championship this year for the first time to see if we could find an older, more mature player that would kind of break up that graduation timeline so we don't have classes like last year where they were at 10 graduate last year. So from that standpoint, we mix and match a little bit, GA, ECNL, international, JUCO, and like I said, Dallas area allows us to be there. High school level is even very, very good in Texas, obviously, as you may know, and so from that standpoint, we hit those events as well.
Okay. Well, and you look at your roster and you got a nice sprinkling of all of that in there, right? The international side, and now you're looking at JUCO. One you mentioned it a little bit, but it's kind of entered the conversation a lot more these days, and that's the transfer portal. Um, eh, how has that changed the way you recruit at all? Is it just something that's kind of there and you'll use it when needed, or what's it look like for you guys?
Yeah, it's for us, it's more use it when needed. So when we recruit players, we talk a lot about the commitment from us to them over the next 4 years and as well from them to us. And how do you handle adversity? Because you will face some sort of adversity and getting out of your comfort zone a little bit in college. So is that for you a excuse to run and then find the next best opportunity? And or is it something that, hey, this is an opportunity for me to grow and become a more important part to the our program the next year then. And so we have those conversations even in the recruiting process quite a bit. We can all have, there's no right or wrong answer, but at the end of the day, we're personally not huge fans of the transfer portal. But we use it when needed. So last year we needed some help at the goalkeeping position. We're able to find that in the transfer portal. This year we have two additions in the transfer portal, and that's it. One is already announced. The other one will hopefully be announced in the next few days, and that's it. and we always kept our roster around the 28 number anyway. So really, we weren't forced to ask players to leave, nor did we want to add a lot. And we're also big believers in development still at this level. So if we recruit players, then we're kind of accountable to them as well. So we believe that you were good enough coming out of club and high school. So now it is our job to continue to get you ready for the next level. And if you struggle after your first year, the easy answer is already right. Get out. We'll find the next solution. Maybe have somebody else prepare somebody and a little bit older. We're a little bit different. We want to continue to prepare these players, and sometimes it means we have to be a little bit more patient. But I believe that the players and that are here feel also then more invested into us. So it's good to see how we're invested into them. And that's, again, it's not about right or wrong. It's just about that's who we are as people and who we are as a program.
Okay. Well, whether it's club, high school, international, JUCO, whatever, what makes up the hierarchy of things you're looking for in a player that once, that makes you want to offer them that one of those 28 coveted spots, whether on the field attributes or off the field stuff?
Yeah. So we don't care about geography, right? So let me, yeah, so that's the first thing. We don't care where you're from, international. We have players from Utah coming in, Florida, uh, you know, uh, East Coast, Missouri. So we're all over. Canada, obviously, Germany. So from that standpoint, that is not a deciding factor. The first deciding factor is who are you as a human being? That's just real simple. Do you fit the qualities of a person that we're looking for, that fits our culture, fits our just style of who we want to be and who we want to represent our program, our university. Second, obviously, is what's a need on the field that we need to fill. We do look for the best players available, but certainly also need to fill some specific needs at times. And then the last is, the profiles obviously are you, if you're an international, are you youth international? We've been lucky enough to have a couple of those that represent their national teams at the youth level. Here in the U.S., yeah, ECNL and GA is really where we've been putting our focus over the last couple of years and been pretty successful. So now our roster, reflects that a little bit. But geographically, we actually only have one player from Louisiana on the roster for this fall coming up, Texas, and then, like I said, geographically, we're spread all over the place.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school. I'm sure folks not familiar with Louisiana Tech. You've been there a few years now. What are some of the awesome things about the school? Maybe some things we wouldn't even know by going through the website.
Yeah, actually, the thing is always that don't check out the website so much and just check out the town, come and get to know the people, because our place is about the people. Website will tell you all the great things. Obviously academically, STEM school heavily on the sciences, but we also have an awesome business school, an education program. We have a little, like I guess they call it laboratory school. I think K through fifth grade on campus if you want to become a teacher. It is a proper campus, meaning that it's a traditional campus, right, where everything is kind of together, very walkable, bikeable. Um, and we have a wide variety of majors academically. Biomedical engineering, a lot of the science are very, very strong. But our athletes, we have education majors, we have sports management, marketing, we have kinesiology, we have engineering majors. So we have a little bit of everything, and we're super proud of our women as maintaining a high GPA and doing a good job. And like I said, graduating again this last year, 10 of them. So we want to make sure that our academic standards meet our requirements and what we want our women to do, which is succeed at the next level in the professional life.
Okay.
Uh, it's a small college town. We're in the South, so football matters. Other sports matter too, but we're trying to cut out our niche. We don't have men's soccer here, so we kind of have uh, the opportunity to maintain our field for ourselves and use it whenever we want. We have a beautiful facility here, so we hope that people come and check it out and realize that it is kind of like a gem down here, where once you hear and see it, you tend to fall in love with that place.
Oh, I bet. Well, you mentioned you get the field to kind of do with it what you will when you want to. So walk me through, let's say we're in the middle of that conference season. Walk me through what's a typical week look like for a player in terms of when are practices, meals,
Mhm.
classes, games, the whole thing. What's a normal week look like?
Sure. So for us, Monday tends to be our traditional day off, just with the Thursday, Sunday kind of schedule, right? So Monday would be a day off, and then usually Tuesday morning and Thursday morning are weight days. We lift twice during the season, and then we train Tuesday, Wednesday, uh, travel, or we're at home on Thursdays, and then Friday, Saturday again train, and then play Sunday or travel on Saturday potentially, and then we're off again Monday. We train usually in the afternoon, so that about 4:30 the players can go to dinner, study hall, whatever they have going on, and then be in class in the morning, midday, like so that they're done like just after lunchtime. And if they have any treatment they need to take care of as well, film is sprinkled in there. We try to, use the 20 hours that are available as much as we can. And with our academic advisor, we have a lot of help to get our athletes out of class so they have a little bit of time before training, and get the right schedule done so they have everything they need to do to be physically and mentally ready for training.
Okay. Well, you mentioned study hall and one of the hardest things I think, especially for high school students becoming college athletes, especially at the D1 level, is really learning to balance the demands of the academic side of things as well as the soccer side of things. So, what all do you guys do? What kind of support systems are there in place at the school to make sure your student athletes are successful both in the classroom as well as on the field?
No, absolutely. And again, I think our GPAs give credence to what we're doing. We've had a 3.5 or above, I think the last 7 terms for our student athletes. So they're doing an outstanding job. Basically, it starts with the academic advisor that we have available to them that helps them with scheduling. Make sure, because in Conference USA we do travel extensively and tend to fly a couple times a year as well, that they are taken care of when they miss class, what they need to do. So the academic advising side is there for them. And then we make sure that on the road that they have study hall set aside. All freshmen are required to do 8 hours of study hall a week. And we are a quarter school, by the way, so we don't have the traditional semester. So we have 3 quarters that they go to, the summer quarters, then off or free for them. And so that when we have exams coming up maybe towards the end of the season, or so that they're prepared. But if you do get good grades, 3.0 or above after your first quarter, after your first term, then you're excused for study hall. Then on top of that, we have tutors specifically for each area. So if you're struggling just in math, or a certain class in chemistry, that you can also see tutors that are more specific towards your subject area.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the team. Obviously, you guys will be under that 28 roster limit starting next year. But besides players on a roster, there's staff. So, talk to me about your staff. What role does everybody play, and maybe what other support staff are in the athletic department that help out with the team?
Mm-hmm. So we're, have 3 full-time coaches. Myself, have Chris Harvick. He's been with me on the men's side before as well, so I've known him for some time. He's outstanding, and just somebody again that I asked when I was here as the interims coach to say, hey, I got basically a 3 months job interview. I need somebody I know, I trust. Can you come in and help me? And he put that same trust back into me and came here. He was up in the Northeast, New Hampshire at that time, and he came down to Louisiana and said, "All right, let's go for it." And really, I think the thing that sold him and what is one of his strengths is just the video side of things. Right? He loves watching the game. He loves scouting as well as watching our training sessions. So we film everything. We use 2 platforms: one that's required by the NCAA, and then one for us to allow our players to observe themselves, for us to observe the players, and then make sure that they get the feedback they want. So Chris does that a lot and has obviously some recruiting responsibilities, but he does a lot of the scouting report, evaluations, film sessions. He plans them. We talk about it together. Obviously, once the clips are ready, then we go over them together. What do we want to hit? What do we want to focus on? Which allows myself and other coaches then to be a little bit more free and let him handle the technology part. He also handles our GPS monitoring system, where we track the players, movements, mileage, and so on, what they get each game, each session, to make sure that we're hitting all our marks there. Stephanie Starr joined us last year. She's been incredible in her first year already. She deals with the goalkeeper specifically on the field, but again, has input with everything as well. And then she also does a lot of like the logistics stuff a little bit, helps us with the travel a bit and make sure that everything is done there. But been absolutely phenomenal her first year here for us as well. And then we have Kay, who's our full-time athletic trainer, travels everywhere, every game, every session is there. We have lucky enough to have our own training room in our facility, so we don't need to go to any other building or stand in line behind, the football team or anybody else. We have a training room here in our facility, which is fantastic that the players have access to and get treatment. And then we have Jared, who's our strength and conditioning coach and works with our players in the weight room, speed, agility stuff, fitness stuff like that.
Okay. Well, what about you? How would you describe your coaching style and the style of play you want to play there?
Yeah, style play, I always use that answer. We're fearless, for better or for worse. So we're going to try to press. We're going to try to build out of the back, but you're not going to see us try to sit in and hope not to lose. So you're not going to get a long-winded, super tactical answer here and try to be the next Pep Guardiola. That's not. We're just fearless. We want to have players that are comfortable on the ball, that enjoy playing the game. Look, soccer is a game that's a player sport. Coaches prepare them during the week, but game day, you got to make decisions. So we, not joystick coaches that try to handcuff players by constant, you got to be there, got to do that. It's like the game is so quick and so instant. You have to be able to make decisions quickly. We trust our players. So from personality type, we want our players to know that we believe in them, that we trust them, give them a little confidence. They don't have to look over their shoulder after a mistake to say, like, am I going to get yanked off the field? It's more like, how do you respond? So the style of play, again, we want players that are comfortable on the ball. If we can and need to possess it because the team is sitting back, then we want players that are able to do that. If a team presses us and we need to be a little bit more direct to find the space in behind, can you recognize that and have that opportunity? But we want technical players that seek the ball. The one thing that really frustrates us is players that kind of don't want the ball. We want you to be able to find avenues to receive the ball and help us progress the ball forward as quickly as possible. Once we have it there, then if we turn it over, we want to be able to press and counter press quickly, respond to that. And then personality type. It's always hard to describe yourself, right? Isn't that other people's job to
Yeah.
describe? Um, no, I'm not a yeller and a screamer. Don't believe in that at all. We're teachers, and I'm yet to find a teacher that yells and screams like, "Hey, 2 + 2 is 4." No, like, hey, it's you educate, you hold accountable, but you show a lot of love to your staff and to your athletes, and I think we try to create an environment where players know that they're respected, cared for, held accountable, and challenged at the same time. Love is always, accountability too. Love is not just letting players get away with it. That's actually the opposite. Letting them know where the boundaries are, letting know what the expectations are, how they're being held accountable for even little things, what not just the classroom conduct. We're fortunate enough to have just an incredible group of young women that believe in each other. And even last year, when we had a very, very, very tough year, the one thing that everybody said, and even our fans and admin that watched, that you guys never quit. You just found a way to keep competing. And sometimes soccer can be a cruel sport. And so from that standpoint, we have a group that believes in each other. And we are, a staff that wants to make players feel like that they're in an environment where they're challenged, but also safe and respected and not just a number. And I think that's something that we want to continue to preach to our recruits and visitors, as well as like, hey, you're coming in here somewhere where it's not going to be easy. We're going to continue to challenge you, but you're also not just going to be discarded after your first mistake, because we're in a university, we're in an educational setting. So, the education part sometimes gets forgotten, where I think we're responsible to prepare players not just for a win that's Thursday night or Sunday afternoon, but also for what are you going to do when you face that problem, like 3 years down the line in the real world, and have we done our job to prepare you? And I think that's gets overlooked at times, and that's something that I take personally very seriously, and our staff does. So, we have an open door policy for our players too. They can come in anytime. We have 3 required individual meetings with that. I do a frequently infrequent call it just coffee chat where I just come out and said, hey, I'm going to sit here for an hour, come and join me. And I've had 8, 10 players come out. I have nobody come out, 1 or 2, but we talk about everything else but soccer. I want to know how's the family, how's what's going on, how's the dog, whatever you have going on in your life, how are your other hobbies, other interests, and we just chat. And so that the mantra that we use is connect, communicate, trust, sacrifice. So if you're willing to connect and then communicate, you build trust, and when you build that trust, then you're willing to sacrifice. And once you're willing to sacrifice, everything else becomes a lot easier for you.
Love that. Well, like I said, we're talking here in January, so it's kind of the start of the quote unquote non-traditional season.
Mhm.
What does your spring season look like for the players in terms of what they're doing and when are they doing it?
Sure. So again, we're in the quarter system, so we're a little different. We've been back in school since January 4th, and we're already in the middle of our winter quarter term that started in December. So we've been going with that type of training, which is the 8 hours a week, right? 4 on the ball, 4 with the strength conditioning coaches for a little bit now. And we got that till February, the latter part of February. And yeah, they just spend a lot of time honing individual skills. We have a smaller group right now in training, because we had a large group graduate. Our transfers won't join us till March, so we have to wait on them a little bit longer. And we have 1 long-term injury still out. But so now, more touches on the ball, even though it's only an hour of training, you tend to get just as much touches as you would in a 2-hour session with a bigger group. So we really try to focus on that and just physical development, whether it's a freshman coming in and finally learning what the D1 standard is like, and just getting physically stronger, fitter, all those things always play a factor. So we'll continue to do that till the end of February, and then in March we maximize those 5 spring days of play days that we have, and more regional, more local competition, but it'll be strong and good. And we play those five match days, middle of March till middle of April, somewhere around there, right before Easter, and then we're able to train a little bit more before we head out in May.
Okay. Well, Coach, really appreciate all this insight. I got one last question for you, and that is if you had one piece of advice for any student athlete going through the college recruiting process right now, what would that be?
Okay, maybe a little bit long-winded answer, because we meet young women all the time and families, and the 2 pieces of advice is find your own journey. Don't compare yourself to others and what they show and post and do, and whether they commit on June 15th. That's not, find yours. And we tell our players, even players that want to commit to us right away, is like, go see as many schools as possible, talk to coaches. You will know where you want it, you will know where you fit in. And I guess I let people steal that one. But the one thing that I ask recruits consistently is like, and I tell them there's no right or wrong answer. Don't overthink it. But it's like, what do you think the opposite of fitting in is? And I get some amazing answers, and they all look and they want to impress, right? So I get that, and I just tell them the opposite for us of fitting in is belonging. Fitting in is active. You try to fit in. You try to be somebody maybe that you're not. Belonging is just easy. It happens. You know it. You feel it. You know where you are. We have one of our 25 commits call me 2 days after a visit. It's like, Steve, I belong. This is where I want to be. And then that doesn't mean that the people around you won't impact you and help you change a little bit over time and grow, but that's at your pace. Yeah? You don't feel like you have to do it. It just happens, but you have the same opportunity to now have that impact on the coaches and then athletes around you. So really my advice is always just trust your own journey, and don't feel rushed and pressured. And the more people around you, or let me rephrase that, I apologize. I mean, surround yourself with people that want to ask what you want and what you need versus telling you what you should do. It is not up to an adult to tell someone you should do that. You must do it as an ask, and then give advice to help that young person out to find the right journey versus, oh, you have to go there, you have to do this, you have to decide now. Hey, here's an offer, you have 1 week to decide. Like, we're dealing with 16, 17-year-old young women, and we have to understand that their process is a little bit different. So that's us. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just that works for us, and we want to make sure that the young women that decide to be here for the long haul, and because again they feel like they belong.
Love it. Well, Coach, really appreciate the time. Wish you the best of luck in this spring season and wrapping up all that recruiting, and hopefully you'll get be hanging those Conference USA banners in there soon.
We're a minute away from that, but we're trying. And what I love is just that we believe in our journey and our path, and we have an opportunity to do a lot of great things here at this place. We have great admin, very supportive staff all around campus. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and put Louisiana Tech and the Bulldogs out in front of you guys and all your listeners. So thanks so much, and go Dogs.